Once upon a time, there was a wise old man who lived in a small village nestled in the hills. He was known throughout the village for his wise words and sage advice. People would come from far and wide to seek his counsel on matters big and small. One day, a young man came to the wise old man seeking his guidance on the best way to live his life. The wise old man looked at the young man and smiled. "My son," he said, "the best way to live your life is to always have a sense of humor. Life can be tough, but if you can laugh at yourself and the world around you, you'll find that it's much easier to bear." The young man looked at the wise old man skeptically. "But how can humor help me in the face of serious challenges?" he asked. The wise old man chuckled. "Ah, my son, that's the beauty of humor. It can help you find perspective, even in the darkest of times." The young man still seemed unconvinced. So the wise old man decided to tell him a joke. There was once a man who was so afraid of the dark that he would never leave his house after sunset. One day, his friend asked him why he was so afraid of the dark. The man replied, "Because the last time I went out in the dark, I stepped on a frog." His friend was puzzled and asked, "So what's wrong with that?" The man replied, "Well, you see, the frog was wearing shoes." The young man burst out laughing at the absurdity of the joke. "I see what you mean, wise old man," he said. "Humor can help us find the light in the darkness." And so, the young man left the wise old man's home with a newfound appreciation for the power of humor. He went on to live a happy and fulfilling life, always remembering the wise old man's joke and the lessons it taught him. As time went on, the young man encountered many challenges in his life. There were times when he faced hardships and struggles that seemed insurmountable. But he always remembered the wise old man's words and the power of humor. Whenever he felt down, he would tell himself a funny joke or remember a silly moment from his past. And each time, he found that it helped him to gain perspective and see his problems in a new light. One day, many years later, the young man found himself in a position of leadership. He was the mayor of the village and responsible for making important decisions that affected the lives of everyone who lived there. One day, he found himself facing a difficult decision that would impact the village's future for years to come. He spent hours poring over data and weighing the pros and cons of each option. But he couldn't seem to find a clear answer. As he sat at his desk, feeling frustrated and overwhelmed, he remembered the wise old man's words. He leaned back in his chair and let out a deep belly laugh. Suddenly, the weight of the decision felt lighter, and he could see the situation with a fresh perspective. In the end, the young man made the right decision, one that benefited the village and earned him the respect of his fellow citizens. And so, the wise old man's joke continued to have an impact long after he told it. It reminded the young man, and all who heard it, of the power of humor and the importance of never taking life too seriously.